June. June is a month for mental health awareness, but sadly, it has been replaced with Pride Month, whatever their agenda is, rather, overtaking the mental health awareness. Okay, so let me get this straight to the point. Man suicide statistic in 2026 so far, it is worldwide. It is up to 80% of the suicide cases is male. So statistically, for every five suicide case, four of them is male. Okay, so in other words, in worldwide, in every 100,000 deaths, 12 to 17 of them are male suicide. To differentiate between male suicide cases and female suicide cases worldwide, statistically, the male suicide cases is 3 to 4 times higher than female. So basically, just what I say, statistically, every 5 suicidal case, around 3, 4 of them are male. Then the next point is that from among all of the male that have mental health challenges, roughly statistically around 30% of them seek a professional help from psychiatric therapists, etc. In other words, statistically, every 10 men, only 3 of them seek for professional help. Okay, so probably one of the FAQ, frequent asked questions, is why do male doesn't seek for professional help when it comes to mental health? It is due to stigma. Generally, stigma across all of the world. It doesn't matter what race, what religion, what background. It all shares the same stigma in which you are man, need to man up. You are man. You cannot cry. If you cry, you're weak. You doesn't need emotional help. You're man. Man up. Be strong. Etc. etc. But one thing that most people forgot: man is a normal human being too. Even though man and woman is different genders, but deep down we all are just the same. We are a human being with basically just the same thing, same basic needs like emotionally way, physically way, psychologically way, etc. 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 Uh, as for male with suicidal thought or like with depressions, typically male tends to hide the sadness. They try to hide. They are emotionally or psychologically scarred. They tends to show their happy side. They tends to show their positive side, but deep down he is struggling. He is crying. Okay, there is several typical signs that we could see. For example, like that particular person tends to spend times alone, tends to not to talk with someone else, especially personal stuff, tends to avoid talks about emotion stuff, etc., etc., etc. But the signs might be vary depending on what person, depending on who is the person that we are talking about. Okay, if I personally, what I could say is that if you know any man in your circle, it doesn't matter siblings, relatives, neighbors, friends, etc. If you see a man that probably tends to avoid himself from everyone else, or tends to avoid from talking about something personal, tends to not to talk, emotional stuff or whatever, probably he needs some help. I don't know. I I personally have been in on depression for years, and I have been clinically confirmed that I am clinically depressed since for the past 1.5 years, and I am on meds apparently, steroff, sertraline, and the main the main factor that I have depressions is all back to my parents, I would say, because why? I doesn't dare to talk much. I mean, I doesn't dare to explain much because I do not want, people have misconception and have negative thoughts about my parents. But yeah, long story short, yeah, my parents, my family, etc. And as a person who are clinically depressed, I am telling to all of you guys out there, if you're feeling down, if you're feels empty and sad for quite a long time period, I personally would suggest you, seek for professional help like secretary or whatever. Probably, maybe you have at least someone you trust to talk to. Right? I don't know. As a man to a man, I know deep down some of you are out there crying internally. Deep down in my heart, I know some of you out there wish to let go those, emotional burden. Yeah, take care everyone and love yourself.